All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving into a pretty intense worldview, one that says existence isn't just hard, it's actively malicious by design. This is a really challenging philosophy, built on some stark, unsettling claims about suffering and reality itself. So let's jump straight into the deep end of this perspective.
I mean, that quote really just sets the stage, doesn't it? There's no easing you in. The whole argument kicks off with this incredibly powerful and frankly disturbing claim that life isn't just messy, it's actually structured to be a nightmare.
So let's unpack that a little. The first big idea we have to grapple with here is that suffering isn't some unfortunate side effect of being alive. No, in this worldview, suffering is the main event. It's the very foundation of what it means to be conscious.
Right. So according to the source, what we think of as cruelty isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature. It's described as this constant, insistent force that's just woven into the fabric of reality right from the very beginning.
And you can see how they build this case with these really sharp phrases. It's not just a bad situation, it's a sadistic plot. It's not just there, it's an insistence, it's active. It isn't just one thing, hate is diverse. And what's the result of all this? A consciousness that's perpetually shook, just fundamentally unstable.
Okay, so if suffering is the foundation, what are the tools that are used to build this nightmare? Well, the source material points to one primary mechanism: predation. But it's not talking about predation in the way we usually think of it, in the animal kingdom. It's much bigger than that. And this slide really hits the nail on the head. Predation here isn't just about eating to survive. It's framed as this deliberate philosophical principle. It's all about exploitation, driven by this deep-seated lust for power that seems to be embedded in nature itself.
This comparison is just so crucial to understanding the whole idea. On one side, you've got the very literal biological trickery of a carnivorous plant, using sweet smells to trap its prey. But then it uses that as a metaphor for something way more subtle, and you could argue way more insidious: how humans prey on each other by exploiting trust and social blind spots.
And here, the motivation is just laid completely bare. This character, the bull warrior, just drops all pretense of survival. For him, inflicting pain is a source of joy. It's what he was born to do. This is predation as a twisted form of self-expression. This brings us to the second major mechanic of this whole malicious system. If predation is one tool in the toolbox, the illusion of free will is another, and it's presented as maybe the cruelest joke of them all. I mean, that's the natural question, isn't it? We feel like we make choices. We feel like we have agency over our own lives. We believe we're in the driver's seat, but the source material has a very cynical answer to that. And there you have it. The bull warrior just frames choice as this meaningless offering between two equally awful options. It's the appearance of a choice, right? It's designed to make you feel like you're in control, even though the outcome is going to be grim no matter what you pick. So the key point here is that in this view, choice isn't liberating. It's actually another tool of control. By giving people these false choices, the system tricks them into feeling responsible for their own suffering, and that's how the whole cycle just keeps on going.
So we've gone from the premise of pain to the mechanics of malice, and now the argument goes to its climax. This is where the very categories we use to make sense of the world just start to completely fall apart, because if suffering is everywhere and our choices are an illusion, what do our distinctions even mean anymore?
The source starts hitting us with these rapid-fire, disorienting questions, like, is there really a fundamental difference between a living organism and a machine? It suggests, maybe not, that both are just playing out statistical probabilities.
And the questions keep coming, now taking aim at the idea of truth itself. What's the real difference between a deliberate lie and a confabulation? When your brain just unconsciously makes something up to fill a gap. The argument is that it hardly matters if they both end up creating a false reality.
And this all leads to the ultimate breakdown. The line between you and me, the self and the other, just starts to totally dissolve. If our reactions and our realities are so programmed and similar, where do I even end and you begin? This breakdown goes all the way down to the most basic tool we have for creating meaning, language itself. The text argues that the ambiguity we find in words, that's not a mistake. It's an intentional design feature. Language was engineered to confuse, to infect, and ultimately, to ruin. Just think about that phrase for a second. Blades without hilts. It's like a sword with no handle. You can't even wield it without hurting yourself. The argument is that concepts are deliberately confusing and that words are like little viruses that infect our minds and cause damage as they spread.
So where does all of this lead? We've walked through a universe built on pain, run by predation and fake choices, where even the tools we have to understand it are designed to break. This brings us to the final, and really the only possible conclusion of this worldview.
You know, we started with that idea of life as a nightmarish memoir. We saw how predation and false choice make it all tick, and we've ended up with the very concepts we rely on, like self and truth and language, just dissolving into nothing.
So what's the bottom line? What's the one core message this whole bleak philosophy wants to leave us with? Is there any way out? Is there any hope? Can you stop this process? Well, the source gives a very clear, very final answer.
And that's the final note it leaves us on. Not just decay, but eternal decay. A process that isn't just happening, but is fundamentally unstoppable. It's a truly chilling conclusion that leaves you with a final, really unsettling thought. If existence is a sadistic plot and our very tools for understanding it are weapons, what does it even mean to be a conscious player in a game that you are literally designed to lose?